Actually, I'm really intrigued to see how they perform against Napoli, Manchester City on Thursday night, because I think the common consensus was, Scott, that they were back to their best in the derby, but very difficult to judge them against the Manchester United team that hardly put a tackle in.
Yeah, I mean, look, with the greatest respect again to Crookie, you can't judge really, can you, a Manchester City team as whether they're back. And it just goes to show the world we live in right now. After Wolves, they're going to be Premier League champions, back-to-back defeats. Pepper's gone, a ridiculous comparison to staying too long in the Premier League as Arsene Wenger. And
you didn't like that, did you? That was in one of the papers, wasn't it? And we brought it up on White and Jordan when Crook and I were on the Friday. Yeah. And you thought that was ludicrous.
I mean, ridiculous, ludicrous, call it what you will. Look, we sort of joke about I'm a follower or whatever of Pep. I just really admire anybody who can be that successful with that kind of pressure and not only win major trophies at the very top end, but also get half the world trying to copy him at all different levels as well, including down to academy. I admire him for what he's done. But look, and again, where are we right now? They've won 2, they've lost 2. Let's wait and see. No, you can't judge. And look, 4 straight titles, something that even Sir Alex Ferguson couldn't do, or Bob Paisley, and 1 season not doing it, and suddenly a couple of bad defeats into that second season, and he's outstaying his welcome in the Premier League. It's just absolute nonsense. Even Fergie went 3 years without winning the title. You can't do that nowadays here. So look, it's a fascinating game. I think that Arsenal having a couple of extra days, I think, will make a big difference. We'll have to wait and see how the injuries are for City. But I think Arsenal are looking very strong at the moment, aren't they? Very solid indeed.
It'll be interesting to see how the Arsenal injuries clear up as well, because they keep picking little ones up here and there. I thought they were pretty efficient in their game against Athletic Club on Tuesday night, but they were much criticised by fans, media, for their approach in the Liverpool game earlier in the season when they were accused of being too cautious. Will that be on the mind of Mikel Arteta going into this game? And do you expect a similar approach, Crook?
I don't think he'll be influenced by the outside noise. I think he's too confident in his own beliefs for that. But I am intrigued to see the difference in approach to playing one of the big guns at home to what they did at Anfield. I personally thought he was too cautious with his team selection. I think they could have been a bit more attack-minded against this Liverpool side that aren't defending particularly well. Okay, it took a moment of magic from Szoboszlai to beat them, but it did feel like an opportunity.
One of the dangers of this, don't be cautious, just go all out, because everybody have been saying this, like what the scoop they talk. So I felt Arsenal shouldn't have been cautious. Most of the people when they talk about don't be cautious, like Henry, say go all out. Most of them have tunnel vision. They only look at go all out. If to say we go all out, we for win. But they also forget, say, if to say we go all out, we for lose. Some games we say we go draw, we for lose them. You know understand? Imagine we went all out against Manchester United. But why they like to mention that one and be say at the end of the day we won. We didn't go all out there, but we won. You get? So I'm not saying we should not go all out or we should go all out, but my job is to open your eyes to another side of the view where they look at it. Because tunnel vision is very, very rampant. Get? Have in mind that when you go all out, you can also be susceptible to counterattacks that can make you lose. Why do they talk about Liverpool? We say at the end of the day we lost, so people can be justified by saying we will lose now after all your cautious. Why not Kukuma go all out? So we go lose, but we still lose. You get? But that is after the hindsight analysis. Before the game, what they think like that. Say, Mama just go all out. I don't want to make it happen. Before the game, what they get that as a manager. What they get that kind of mindset. But most of our fans, they get that mindset. Person don't tell me now. It's a CHUKS. Or Mama they go all out. Anything want to make it happen. Papa, we don't fit get that mindset. They say anything want to make it happen because why? When they play for league, we say Liverpool can go the whole season. They feel not even lose plenty games. So we can't afford to allow ourselves to be far behind the teams like Liverpool and Mancity. Say maybe early on in this stage, they don't get us maybe 6 points. Will really make sense. So now be where this caution they come in. You can't just throw caution into the wind. So now they are just because as they talk and they try to balance the argument. As me say I dey for the studio, now wetin me sef I go dey talk with that.
Opportunity missed. And I think it's going to be so tight this season between Liverpool and Arsenal and probably Manchester City as well. I do think it will come down to those three, that these head-to-head games are going to be massive. And obviously Arteta, over the course of his Arsenal career, has struggled against City. That has changed a bit in the last couple of seasons. And I would expect a more front-footed approach. But I just wonder if that City performance against United may have struck a little bit of fear in Arteta, because you're right, we don't really know whether City are back or not, because you look at the substandard opposition. But it was impressive. And, I think Erling Haaland in particular is looking much, much sharper than he was at this stage last season. That will be a concern for Arsenal.
4 goals in 6 Premier League appearances against Arsenal as well, Erling Haaland. He does have the feel of someone who fancies himself this season. He looks leaner, he looks sharper, he looks like he's got his edge back. At times last season, it felt that he was carrying a little bit of an injury, and that caused him 1 or 2 problems. Arteta had the propensity to bring off different players in the game against Athletic Club and replace them with other wonderful talents. Martinelli came on, made a massive impact. Trossard came on, made an impact. And that shows the depth of their squad too. And actually, I was going through the City squad ahead of the Thursday night game and looking at the Arsenal squad, and actually player for player, it's nip and tuck as to what you think is the better overall squad, Scott.
Fascinating. I mean, I think you've got a City squad that's full of talent, great passing, and we'll have to wait and see again how they can blend, because it is a new empire for Pep that he's trying to build, whereas Arsenal have been here for a good few years under Mikel Arteta, and actually it's just a little bit of sprinkling that they needed, and they've got that now. They've got the striker, they've got the number 9, and they realised after a couple of games, let's play like we've got the number 9 and not carry on playing how we were playing last season. You give him the opportunities, he sticks the ball in the back of the net. You got someone like Eze to come in as well. Madueke, who I'm a big fan of, is playing really, really well, to the point where, and the biggest compliment I can give him, that Saka's not being missed at this moment in time, as much as you want him fit. So I think Arsenal, in terms of pure strength, I think Arsenal nudge it. In terms of talent, it's definitely a good question.
Do you know what? It's really interesting, isn't it? Because Manchester City really struggled after European games last season. I think they lost 5 of the 7 Premier League games that immediately followed a European match in midweek. And this game on Sunday is absolutely crucial in the title race, isn't it, Crook? Because if they were to lose this, the ground that they would have already lost on the front runners would be significant.
True.
Yeah, they'd be 6 points behind Arsenal, which even at this early stage of the season, I think is a huge chasm. That was why last weekend was so important, because we got the stat, haven't we, that no team since...
Don't even ask that they're going to look. They're going to be 9 points behind Liverpool. And they cannot afford that, because then someone win the league. This is the no win at Mr. Alex Crook. Then someone win the league. So, you see this match? Man City cannot afford to lose it. This match like this. Man City cannot afford to lose it. So that's why I don't even think Man City will throw caution into the wind. They will be careful. Arsenal also cannot afford to lose it. Now, the honest truth that they tell you like this. And the funny thing is, say there is already too much bad blood. I was discussing with somebody in the forum where we discuss about this game. There is, at the talk, say there is too much bad blood already on the floor. You see this match, blood will flow, fights will happen, red card, fisty shelly. For this match, in fact, I see the wait when I talk about Donnarumma, because there's no way you analyze Man City Arsenal without talking about Donnarumma. Very, very key player.
1993 have lost 2 of their first 3 Premier League games of the season and gone on to win the title, as City have. So yeah, I think there's probably more pressure on City, and that should make for a good game, because I don't really think they can afford to go there, City, and defend for a point. They need all 3 to get themselves, right back in it with Liverpool and Arsenal. So you're right. I think a defeat for City, even at this early stage, would be pretty terminal for their hopes of getting the title back from Liverpool.
There'd be 6 points behind Arsenal, but if Liverpool beat Everton on Saturday as well, there'll be 9 points behind Liverpool, Scott, at this stage of the season, 5 games in. That is almost insurmountable, isn't it?
Do you know what? It's crazy, isn't it? And when I sort of looked at that question and I thought, we're mid-September, you can't be saying that. But then you look at how ruthless Liverpool are. And obviously if Arsenal beat City, that's the 6-pointer there. So you're not just looking for to try and get past Liverpool, but get past catch up Arsenal. It's a massive game. It is an absolutely massive game for Manchester City if they want to win the title. And the way that modern day football, now you almost start straight off. You don't get to March and then the season starts here. And then you've lost the title by March if you haven't got very close to them. So it is an absolutely massive game. And you know what? For many reasons, I fancy Arsenal. I really do. I think they're in such a good place right now. I think they're much more solid than City are. They've got the extra 2 days off.
Which has got to be a massive benefit, hasn't it?
Massive.
That's why they talk about that extra days off. That's why they talk about, because come to think of it, it's an edge. It's an edge, no matter how you want to look at. Yeah, some Arsenal fans say, but I choose last season, I wish I would do this one. We experience them. Yes, but this time around, now we enjoy them. Then we experience they play Europa League. We enjoy them now. If Man City lose, I don't already predict them. Say Pep must mention this. And they had extra days to rest, get our players, they are trying, give them kudos. Even if they win, he goes to say, even though we had less days to rest. So either way, Pep goes to mention. In fact, I never even listened to Pep press conference. I'll be surprised if he did not even talk about it.
Massive. Because look, and that's why I'm interested. Again, we're talking ahead of the game tonight, what the team selection would be, because he has to think we can catch up. I know obviously what happened last season with Champions League and they were in the playoffs in the end and they lost. But I generally think what I saw, Chelsea would be absolutely fine. With City, the biggest game this week is the weekend. It's not this Napoli game. So fascinated to see team selection.
Well, I thought Chelsea were a little bit naive, actually, in their Bayern Munich game. I thought they were taught a little bit of a lesson about the harsh realities of the Champions League, and that if you lose concentration or you make bad decisions, you get punished in that competition by people who are ruthless and experienced. And the one thing that Chelsea certainly lacked was any sort of Champions League experience. And this is a new Manchester City group. The experience has gone in some senses, in the fact that, De Bruyne has moved on. Obviously, we've had a clear out prior to all of that. You've got Bernardo Silva still there, and there are still some players that obviously won the 2023 Champions League, but it is a different Manchester City. There's a lot of younger players that have been pushed into that lineup as well. And I just wonder whether or not, they're in a situation on Thursday night playing Napoli where they can't really afford to lose. You can't afford to lose any game. And that is where we are with football, isn't it? I was talking to someone yesterday about West Ham and what they're going to do in the future and how they're going to sort of resolve their issues. People can't take liberties in the Premier League and the Champions League. It is the best of the best. Every game, every minute, every second, you have to be on your A game. If you're not, then you will get punished. You will get your backside handed to you. It happens. That's how high the level is in both those competitions. And if you're operating in both, you've got to have one hell of a squad and be able to rotate as much as maybe Liverpool didn't this week. They've brought in some of the older and experienced ones, but as much as Chelsea did, Chelsea changed 6 players from their game at the weekend. So I don't know. I think it's fascinating. These big teams can't take their foot off the gas, can they?